Hey everyone, welcome back to the Everyday English Podcast, your place for learning English and transforming your life. I'm Peter, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Sophia. How's it going, Sophia?
Hi, Peter. I'm great, energized, and ready for today's discussion. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. You know, just yesterday I caught myself wondering, why is it that some people completely change their lives while others remain stuck in the same routine?
I've thought about that too. You see someone go from struggling to thriving, and you can't help but ask, what's their secret? Are they just in the right place at the right time, or is there more to it?
Exactly. That got me thinking back to when I was learning English. At first, it seemed impossible, so many words and rules to juggle. But then, step by step, things started to click.
That resonates with me. When I began, I thought, if I just memorize more vocabulary, I'll be fluent. But it turned out that true progress was about building habits, developing a growth mindset, and actually using the language regularly.
Right, and that realization led me to see that life works the same way. Big transformations don't happen overnight. It's the small, consistent steps we take each day that move us forward.
And that's exactly our topic today, how to change your life in meaningful ways. But before we dive in, we've prepared something special for you, a free PDF packed with hands-on exercises to help you kickstart real change.
This guide includes key insights from today's conversation, comprehension questions to reinforce your understanding, and grammar drills to boost your English confidence.
Plus, in this episode, we'll introduce some intermediate-level words and expressions, and later, I'll break them down in our vocabulary section so you'll know exactly how to use them in real conversations.
So, stick around. By the end, you'll not only have practical steps to transform your life, but you'll have fresh English vocabulary to articulate your ideas even better.
All right, Peter, let's jump right in. I'm eager to see how small steps can create lasting change.
To kick things off, let's explore why so many people feel stuck and struggle to make changes. Why do we think change is exciting, yet end up not acting on it?
Great question. Change sounds thrilling, new beginnings and fresh opportunities, but in practice, most people never actually follow through. One big reason is fear of failure.
Exactly. Folks worry, what if I try and falter? But consider this. Every successful person has stumbled at some point. Their edge came from persisting despite setbacks.
Right. A second reason is lack of direction. Some people yearn for a better life, but they feel lost about where to begin. They believe they need a flawless plan before taking any steps.
And then there's negative self-talk, thinking, I'll never be good at this, or I'm just not a language person. Those thoughts clamp down motivation before any action happens.
Plus, a huge trap is waiting for motivation to strike. People say, I'll start once I feel inspired. But here's the secret. Motivation often arrives after you've already taken action, not before.
That reminds me of a time when I hesitated to learn a new skill until I felt ready. But the perfect moment never came. Until I simply started. And once I started, everything began to fall into place.
I can relate. When I first tackled English, I kept waiting until I felt good enough. Finally, I forced myself to speak, mistakes and all, and that push made all the difference.
So, our first lesson, identifying what's holding you back, fear, lack of direction, negative inner dialogue, and waiting for motivation, is crucial to making real change.
Absolutely. Once you recognize these barriers, you can work on dismantling them one by one.
Now that we know the main roadblocks, let's ask, how do we start making changes? The answer lies in small, daily improvements. People often think change has to be dramatic, but real transformations accumulate over time.
Have you heard of the 1% rule? Improving just 1% each day makes you almost 37 times better in a year. It's like compound interest for personal growth.
Exactly. Small efforts add up, just like money in a savings account. And that ties into James Clear's idea in Atomic Habits. Habits shape our identity. Tiny tweaks may seem insignificant at first, but they gradually redefine who we are.
For example, reading 10 minutes a day, practicing English for 5 minutes daily, or swapping a negative thought for a positive affirmation can make a world of difference over the long haul.
I know someone who became fluent in English simply by listening to a podcast each morning. They didn't start with an intense study plan, just consistent, bite-sized steps.
That's inspiring. The takeaway? Consistency in small actions yields major results. If you're wondering where to begin, choose one tiny habit today.
And beyond action, mindset is absolutely foundational. How we think about change can either propel us forward or hold us back.
Right. There's the concept of a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. With a growth mindset, you believe you can improve. With a fixed mindset, you feel you're stuck with your current abilities. That difference can be game-changing.
Another fascinating idea is the reticular activating system. This is why, once you learn a new word or set a goal, you suddenly see a flood of related information everywhere. Your brain is filtering for what you focus on.
Exactly. If you repeat, "I can't do this," your brain will find countless proofs that you're stuck. But if you tell yourself, "I am improving every day," your mind will start noticing progress and opportunities.
That's why reprogramming your thoughts is so powerful. 3 ways to do that are affirmations, visualization, and gratitude.
Right. Affirmations like "I get better each day" steer your subconscious to spot growth. Visualization, imagine yourself succeeding, teaches your brain to expect positive outcomes. And practicing gratitude, listing what's good in your life, shifts your focus from obstacles to opportunities.
Exactly. This isn't mystical. It's about training your brain to work for you, not against you.
Now, there's another thing that holds people back: waiting for the perfect moment. Many think, "I'll start when I'm fully ready." But here's the truth: you will never feel 100% ready.
Absolutely. Progress comes before confidence. When I was learning English, I hesitated to speak because I feared mistakes. The longer I waited, the harder it became.
I felt the same. But as soon as I took that first imperfect step, I realized mistakes were just part of learning. Each conversation, even the flawed ones, built my confidence.
And that leads us to a mantra I love. Done is better than perfect. If you keep delaying until everything is flawless, you'll never start. Imperfect action always beats no action.
Exactly. Whether it's starting an exercise routine, kicking off an English practice, or reaching out for help, begin today. Don't wait. One small step creates momentum. Momentum builds confidence.
So here's a quick challenge for our listeners. Think of one thing you've been putting off, perhaps a daily English exercise or a healthy habit, and take one tiny action toward it today, not tomorrow.
Right now, Because when you take that first step, you shift from thinking to doing, and that energy fuels the next step.
Speaking of momentum, our surroundings also strongly influence our habits. It's not just what you do, but who and what you surround yourself with.
Absolutely. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If they're negative or stagnant, you'll likely stay in the same place. But if they're goal-oriented and optimistic, you'll rise with them.
So how can we create a supportive environment? First, follow inspiring people, authors, speakers, or positive social media accounts. That daily dose of motivation shifts your mindset.
And join communities, online groups for learners, book clubs, or personal development circles. When you're surrounded by like-minded individuals, you boost your own growth.
Equally important is reducing negativity. Spending less time with chronic complainers or limiting exposure to draining news and social feeds.
That reminds me of when I joined an English learning group. Suddenly, I had peers to practice with, share struggles, and celebrate progress. It made all the difference.
An environment built around positivity and growth naturally fosters momentum. So ask yourself, who are the 5 people you spend most of your time with? Do they help you grow or hold you back?
If they're not supporting your goals, it might be time to adjust your circle. Surround yourself with folks who inspire and uplift you.
And before we move on, let's introduce some of today's key vocabulary. Words and phrases that will help you describe change, mindset, and environment more precisely.
Absolutely. Let's break down a few terms. Compound effect. This describes how small, consistent efforts accumulate and produce significant results over time. Like saving a little money each week. You might not notice it at first, but eventually it adds up. Mindset. Your overall attitude or set of beliefs. A growth mindset views challenges as opportunities to learn, whereas a fixed mindset sees them as threats. Reticular activating system. A part of your brain that filters information based on what you focus on. When you set a goal, your brain zeroes in on related opportunities. Affirmation. A positive statement you repeat to yourself, like, I am improving every day, that helps reprogram limiting beliefs. Visualization. The practice of imagining yourself succeeding in a situation. By mentally rehearsing success, you train your brain to behave as if it's already possible. Gratitude practice. Actively listing things you're thankful for so that your brain begins to notice positives instead of dwelling on negatives. Momentum. The force built by taking consistent action. Once you start moving, it becomes easier to keep going. Environment. The people, places, and influences around you that shape your behaviors and beliefs. A positive environment supports growth, while a negative one can hold you back.
That's a solid list. When you hear or see these words in context, try using them in your own sentences so they stick.
Great idea. Now, let's wrap up by reinforcing our main takeaways and giving you a final piece of encouragement.
Today's big takeaway is this: you have far more control over your life than you realize. By tackling fear, identifying your obstacles, and focusing on small, daily improvements, you can create dramatic change.
Remember, progress is built on consistent action, not on single, huge decisions. Commit to improving 1% each day, whether that's practicing English for 5 minutes, reading for 10, or replacing one negative thought with a positive one.
Embrace a growth mindset. If you catch yourself thinking, I can't, flip it to, I can learn. Use affirmations, visualize your success, and practice gratitude to train your brain to spot opportunities.
Take action immediately. Don't wait until you're ready. Action breeds confidence, which in turn fuels further action.
And craft a supportive environment. Curate your network, follow uplifting influences online, and limit negativity. The right surroundings will help you stay motivated.
Finally, remember that every small step matters. Whether you're learning English or pursuing any other goal, those tiny, consistent efforts compound into amazing results.
Now, if you haven't already, be sure to download our free PDF guide. It's filled with practical exercises, comprehension questions, and grammar drills so you can reinforce today's lessons.
Also, let us know in the comments, what's one small change you're making today? We'd love to hear from you and cheer you on.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Everyday English, share it with friends, and leave a review. Let's keep growing together.
Thanks for spending time with us today. Keep taking those small steps, stay focused on your growth, and remember, you're closer to the life you want than you think.
We'll see you next time on the Everyday English Podcast.
Bye for now and happy learning.